Dave here with Half Dozen Customs. We're back out here on the Jeep today. We left off with getting the door all tacked in place, and I was getting ready to weld it. I didn't record it because I recorded the driver's side, so if you want to see how I welded all this up, check out the driver's side door video. But got it all welded up, ground down, got the door back installed. I'm pretty happy with the fitment of everything, other than the front of this rocker area, which we'll address. But I think this back cab corner, I think we can get this welded in and ground down. So that's what I'm here to work on right now. Let's get this back cab corner wrapped up. So thanks for joining us. Move you guys over just so you're not staring at the back of my head. I need to get the welding gas, or not the welding gas. I got the welding gas filled today. I need to get the air compressor fired up and get a blowgun over here. It's the only thing I forgot. So, be right back. So I'm just kind of wrapping up this door jamb area. We had made a piece that goes in the door jamb that had a few spot welds, and just getting that wrapped up. Alright, I think we got this all we got this all welded up. I think it looks pretty good. So we'll be back for some grinding. I'm gonna stand up and stretch. Sitting down here bending over like that just does a number on my back, so I'll be back. She's in. There's still a big dent there. I forgot all about that. I was supposed to pull that out before we welded it. Well, we'll pull it out before we fill, unless I forget. But I think we're good. Yeah, baby. All right, looking good. I'm happy with that. She's ready for some DA-ing and some filler. We got ways to go before we get to that, but now I gotta figure out what exactly. Well, so here's the thing. So this rocker, I'm not super happy with the way that this rocker fits. I don't think it has anything to do with me or anything that I have done. This is straight out of the box. You know, yeah, I made that inside, but the inside, it just slips in and I screwed it. We didn't put it in no vise. We didn't squeeze it with no pliers. I mean, we just slipped the two together and welded it up. But the driver's side was a little off, but this passenger side is way off. Like, if you look, like right here, like that should be a nice straight line in there, not a triangle. This whole thing is like bent and twisted under. And it came out of the box like that. So I'm gonna try and get some adjustment out of this rocker. What I may end up having to do is get the front welded in solid and try and twist this back somehow to get that to straighten back out. So you can see it starts about right here and it starts to curve under the truck. So we're gonna have to figure that out. Up at the front, the door is like maybe a 1/16 off of the top of the rocker. Now, it was the same thing on the other side. I used a 2x4 and a big hammer and hammered down on the top of the rocker once it was welded in to get that gap fine. So I think we'll be okay up there. But again, that cab corner, I think it is coming back to bite me again. Because of what we had to do to make that thing fit, that little metal block that they have welded on there, I think it's welded on in the wrong spot. I seriously do. I think that door gap, when they put that bend in that door gap, they put it on an angle. So it wasn't straight up and down. So when we went to weld that in and straighten out that door panel, we trimmed the panel so that it kind of angled up to straighten out that door gap, and it made that bottom block off, because they welded it onto that door gap, which I believe was crooked, so then makes that little block crooked. And when you open open and close the door, it's actually catching on that little block. So I think I need to take that cab corner back off. We need to cut that block off, and we need to move it down like maybe 1/8 of an inch. And if you think about it, like, we angled that thing up 1/8 of an inch to straighten out that door gap line. So it seems like just everything's been off 1/8 of an inch with that thing. So I think I'm gonna have to pull that cab corner back off. It has a big fat weld on the back of it. I think we're gonna have to use a hole saw to drill through and get that weld disconnected, so that I can pull that block off. Then we'll put the cab corner back on, and then I'll line that block up where I think it should be, and we'll weld it back on. So unfortunately, I think that's where we're gonna be with this. So we got some adjustment with the rocker, which we had on the other side, minus this twist over here, and then that block. I think we're gonna have to take that damn cab corner off again. It's like the 20th time I've had that thing on and off. So, but we're getting closer. I think tomorrow we'll mess with the rocker, and probably do that cab corner again. And I think once we get those two things kind of situated to where I'm happier with it, I think we can start welding everything up. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Ow, 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 ow. Well, that looks better already. Whatever I did. Looks a little better. Minus the sand or whatever that just fell in my eye, or you know what, it was probably metal shavings from me just grinding that. Cool. I think I'm pretty happy with that. I think we could probably adjust this door and go up a little bit with it. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Colleen's in for the night, so. Yeah, I think we should readjust the door tomorrow before I do anything else with this rocker. Once again, I have the cab corner out. I was really hoping that the last time we put it on was going to be the last time, but it was not. I was happy with everything with the way that the cab corner was fitting, but this lower metal piece, which is it's an add-on piece that came with this cab corner that is supposed to make it line up with the rocker. And it just, I've explained it in other videos about how I believe that this door jamb bend right here was put in on an angle. It was not straight up and down like it was supposed to be. So we had to angle this piece to make the door jamb piece line up. Which if I had to do it again, I would have just cut the door jamb piece and made it line up with the door jamb instead of trying to angle this whole piece. But with the door jamb piece being bent off, I believe that it was bent off. I believe this piece was welded in the wrong spot. So I had to take the cab corner back off to cut this tab off so we can put the corner back on then, and then put this back in where I want it to be put back in. So just gonna finish cutting it off here. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing. We're gonna weld up this hole on both sides and get that ground down. We don't need that there. And I just want it to be welded up from the back side, mostly, just so that when we get it welded back in, that nothing can really get to the back side of this weld and you know, cause any issues later on down the road. You guys weren't even watching what I did. Darn it. So I just cleaned up this thing and rounded all the edges on it. The other one, I did the same thing on the other one, but I did it on the truck because I didn't have to cut the other side off. So, but it'll just get, you know, we'll get this re-welded on here where we want it, but I want to weld this hole up from both sides and grind it down before we do anything. I'm just gonna leave that hole there. It's gonna get covered. This thing gets welded on all the way around. So you'll never know that that hole's there. I'll spray a little black in there, just to make sure that there's no like bare metal that's gonna start rusting. But other than that, the only other thing that I could do would be after it's all on and we get it welded in place where we want it, then I would take the cab corner back off again and weld it from the back side, which it's getting welded on from the front side. I don't see any reason to go back and weld it from the other side. The only reason being would be to weld that hole to the back of that plate, which I think if everything's painted and coated and covered and no rust can really start there, or not give it a reason to start there, I think we'll be okay. So I'm not too worried about it. If for some reason this cab corner ends up coming back off for any reason whatsoever, then I'll weld it up. But just gonna dust in these couple of spots. That needed to be dusted in. So, you know, I'm just gonna hit these couple of spots. We welded that bolt in. I didn't do it. So all that dries, we'll weld up this other hole over here in the big booth. So the whole reason that we went in and did this was because right on this back edge right here, this top portion of this piece was sitting higher than the rocker. Like I said, I think it was welded in the wrong spot. So we're a little tight on clearance on the rocker itself. I'm gonna have to make a little adjustment on the rocker as well. But that piece was sitting higher than the rocker, and when I was opening and closing the door, the corner of the door was catching on that. So we needed to cut that off so that I can drop it down about 1/8 of an inch. And if you go back into the other videos that we've watched, like that whole panel that I adjusted, it was 1/8 of an inch. So everything that I've messed with that quarter panel or that cab corner has been 1/8 inch off. So, and I just think that that one line, that one bend was put in 1/8 inch on an angle, and it just threw everything off. So, it is what it is. We just gotta get through it and get it situated. You know, we're getting closer. Last night I got the rear cab corner all welded in and done. We made some slight adjustments. Just kind of squirreled and made some slight adjustments to that rear rocker panel, and super happy with the way that came out. That came out so much better. I came back out here last night after we closed up shop and I was looking at it. What a difference that little adjustment made. All right, we'll let that piece cool off. I'm gonna paint the back side of him as well. So I will, I'll see you guys after we get all this stuff kind of coated and ready to be back installed. I'll see you guys then, so stay tuned. Got everything back together and got the fender back on. I'm just gonna kind of hold this up where I think it needs to go. And I'm gonna put a tack in it. So, and now I think I'll put 2 tacks in it just in case. I don't want it to move. So this thing gets welded all the way around so that it actually becomes a piece of this. But I don't want to weld it on completely yet because we gotta tap down this rocker. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the tack that holds this rocker on in here and see if we can move it around and adjust it without me hammering on it. So I've said this probably a dozen times in other videos. We hammered this down on the other side. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these two tacks up here and just see what happens. Does it relax? Does it drop down? Does it move? Whatever. Can I push it down? What happens with the gap on the fender down here? Just need to kind of, we need to get this like section, just like a, I don't know, 8 to 10 inch section right here, the front of this rocker to come down a little bit. Alright, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to push down on it and put a tack in. Then we can shut the door and we can see how it looks. Honestly, it doesn't look like it moved any. So, this is how I got it to go last time, but I did, I had it fully welded in before. I think that's just, I don't think we're going to be able to get it. I don't think we're going to be able to get it much better. Like I said before, I think that the door can go up a little. So we'll be able to get a little bit out of that, but I still want it to be an even gap all the way across, you know what I mean? And we're good, we're even to about right here, and then all of a sudden it just closes up. So it looks nice and straight all the way across until you get to about this point, and then it droops down. And like I said, it was the same way on the other side. So, I think we're just gonna weld it in. And call it a day. And then I think we need to adjust this a little bit. Maybe not. I got that to open up a little bit. I cut it and pushed down on it.
Yeah, it does look better.
So, I wish I could have you push down on this side, but there's nothing to brace onto. So So I think I'm just gonna have to weld it and then do the 2x4 thing and smack it down after it's welded. So that's all.
Okay.
Rocker's in and not coming back out.
Ooh.
Everything's becoming a little more permanent on the cab there, huh?
Yeah?
Cool.
I'll wait for you to leave this time.
Thank you.
I love you. There we go. Now we got a nice even gap going all the way around. I could do maybe a little at this back side too. Beautiful. Now, I think that this can come down a little bit. I have company, so we will be back. I'm gonna cut this thing off and we're gonna adjust it a little bit. And then we're gonna weld it back on. And I'm gonna call it a night at that. We're getting up to 10 o'clock, so alright, well, I think that's it. We're gonna call it a night at that. Tomorrow we'll come in and we'll start welding all this stuff up over here and get this stuff permanently installed. I'm happy with the way everything's fitting right now. I do see that this needs to come out just a hair bit right here. Once I get this piece welded in, we'll kind of spoon that out a little bit. But other than that, I think it's looking good. I'm happy with everything, the way that it's coming out so far. So it's been a long time coming up to this point. A lot of test fitting, a lot of trimming, a lot of repairs. Just it's good to see it coming together. So today we're gonna start to hopefully finish this side. So I'm gonna start out with our little rocker extension that we have here. I'm happy with the way everything's laying out, but I think that needs to move up just a hair. So I'm gonna start with that. We'll just cut this one tack and we'll move everything. We'll move it up. I'm just gonna move it up like, I don't know, between a 16th and an 8th, and then we'll tack it back in place. And then I think we're just gonna start welding everything up. So Alright, we got that guy welded in for the most part. I do got a little welding that I gotta do inside the door jamb here, which I'll have to do when the door's off. And then I'm gonna have to grind this this corner in here when the fender's off. And I think it needs to be rounded up just a little bit more. But I think you know, I think, like I said, we'll work on that when the door's off and the fender's off. But it's welded on, so it ain't coming back off. So let's start putting tacks in, getting this done. Start grinding this stuff down. So you know, we got it all welded up. I think I overlapped the welds pretty well. You know, there might be a couple spots that we gotta go back and hit. You never know. I very seldom get lucky enough to where there's no welding afterwards, but we'll see. This is my last piece of 36. I got some stuff on order waiting for it to show up, so. So I've mentioned this before in other videos. So I use the 36 roll lock guy on this to just kind of level the playing field. I knock all the bumps off of the welds and just kind of try and level it out. I don't try and smooth it out with that 36. And then I come back with this guy. And I call this the weld buster. The reason I call it the weld buster is because years ago I used to get just actual wheels that went on here that were this thick, and they were called weld busters. You can still get them, but like one stone wheel, I think I went to get one not that long ago, and they were like 45 bucks. And I was like, I'm not spending 45 bucks on those. So this is actually just 3 cutoff wheels put together on this thing. You know, these cutoff wheels are like 90 cents a piece. So for under $3, you know, I get the same thing as the weld buster. And I just go through. A lot of people use the electric ones with the big stone grinders on there. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with using those. I just feel I have more control with this than I do with that big grinding wheel. I mean, you get that grinder up in there, you can't really see what you're doing. This, you can see what you're doing. So I use this to take it down a little bit farther, get it super close, and then we come back in with the grinders, maybe a little 36, or we go to 60 and then 80 and then DA it down. So trying to pull this fender back off. Just make life easier, and there's stuff that we gotta weld up anyways. Alright, well, I finished everything off in 80 grit. Looks good. That's all you guys missed. So, I just cleaned it up. I got this front that I'm going to weld up right now after I use the bathroom. We still got to weld up a couple spots inside the door jamb when the door comes off next. But we're going to finish up this front here, right here in a few minutes. So, I pulled the door off so that we can wrap up the last few things that we need to do with this lower cab corner. We got a few spot welds we got to weld in. There's the butt line right there we got to weld in. Got welded up in the front as well. We can cut this bar out now since the rocker is welded in. While the door's off, we're gonna do the new door catch piece in here. I think this door jamb up here needs to be straightened out a little bit more, and we got to weld up the top piece on there. We got to weld up this lower thing down here. So there's just some loose ends that we need to tie up. So that's what we're going to work on and get done today. So. That all welded up. Let's do a little grinding. Make sure we got it welded up good. And we got some spot welds to do underneath. Alright, so that cab corner is completely welded in and ground down. we are done with that. Next, we're gonna move into this door jamb area. The top pocket, we had straightened it out, but I don't think I ever finished straightening it out, and we didn't weld it. So I'm gonna finish straightening that out. We're gonna get that welded up, ground down, and then we gotta do that striker, or that catch, door. I don't even know what the heck you call them. Keeps the door from opening up too far. So I guess I would call it a door catch, but yeah. So let me get some stuff together to do this hinge. I think we're gonna need the torch, and we're gonna need a block and a big hammer. So let me get that stuff, and I'll be back. Okay, so we worked on getting this all straightened out, I don't know, weeks ago. And to me, it just looks like everything needs to go that way a little. So we're gonna heat this up and we're gonna hammer it over. I may try and straighten out this edge a little bit more. Well, not may, I will try and straighten it out. I don't know if we'll be able to get it any straighter than it is. We already worked on it once. And then we need to weld this top up. So let's work on that. It doesn't need to go over much, but it's got to go over some. Alright, I think that looks good. Let me see. I need to find this. I know where it's at, but it's in a pile with a bunch of other stuff. So found it. So I filmed this on the other side. And you guys were way on the other side of the room. So now we're gonna film it again, and we're gonna do all up close and personal. So sorry for saying so all the time, but it's either so or So what I found out about this kit, this is a nice kit. It's pretty cool. There is, so this is what I cut out of the other side. So this is what I cut out. And it's just got these little ears on there that broke off. But look at how much more well made this new piece is. So this is like heavy compared to this. This is just a piece of sheet metal. So this goes in here in place of this, and this is what the door catch hooks to. Not sure, let's see, where did these come from? The Jeepster Man is where these are from. Jeepster Man, 201 VFW Drive, Fetus, Montana, MO, I would say, Montana. So Jeepster Man in Montana is where this came from. So they gave this piece in here as well. We weren't really quite sure what this piece was for. What I think it was for and what I used it for was a template to put over this hole that was here. Line up your hole here with this hole here and mark it, and that's what we cut out. So I got the magic marker here. So now we have that marked out, and that's what we cut out. And then you'll see as we do this, but I just used a piece of welding wire and I put it through the holes on this thing and tied it up so that I had the wire that I could hold on to so that we didn't drop it down inside there. But this plate here, this front plate, is the exact same size plate as this. So when you cut it out, you just kind of fish this in the back side, and then you weld up this front plate. We did some spot welds going around to make it stronger. If you pull your rope out that's inside the door jamb here, anybody that knows these old Jeeps or old vehicles like that, it has this rope in here that's a factory rope. It's just like, it's a cardboard rope that is twisted and it's shoved in there. And I think that you could drill a couple holes in behind that rope, and you could actually get some spot welds on the edge here. Now, this rope is all here. It's not in the best of shape, but it's here. And it's all here. Like, if half of it would have been missing, I would have just pulled it out. But it's all here. So we left it. I'm not going to mess with it. We didn't do the spot welds in here. But I think we could have. So there is a couple of, you can see here, I kind of drilled some spot weld holes here. Didn't really do a good job. I think we ended up ripping most of it off. But there is a couple of spot welds in here that welds this structure that you're going to cut out to the inner structure of the vehicle. So we'll do that. As you can see with my spot weld drilling, like, I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but I just kept slipping all over the place. My spot weld bit is not in the best of shape anymore. I've had it for a very long time. It's gotten plenty of use out of it. So I've actually been using, where'd you go? I've been using my rotary bit to grind out the spot welds. So that's what we'll do here instead of trying to drill them out. It's just, I've never really been a fan of spot weld bits to begin with. If you ask me, they just suck. And I forget who it was, but I was watching somebody on YouTube and they used that rotary bit and it worked perfect, and I've been doing that ever since. So So that's pretty much it. A little tricky to get it in there, but we got clean up along on this back inside here. That was holding me from, it's all the metal from cutting it with the whiz wheel. So we need to get a file, clean that up. I think on the other side I had to use a piece of sandpaper because I couldn't get in there with the file. And then we got to drill some small holes around this edge so that we can spot weld to this plate that goes back here. I think we're good to put this piece in, but we gotta drill a couple of spot welds in here so we can put our spot welds back in on the spine back there, I suppose you can call it. I'm just gonna go put this in the vise and drill the holes, make it easier. All right, so. I drilled some holes on this back side over here so that we can weld it to the frame of the truck there. We got all our holes drilled all the way around. The top and the bottom, we're only catching the very edge of it, which it was the same way on the other side, but at least we're catching something. And the only thing that I would say is just make sure that you get the back side of everything from drilling the holes and cutting with the whiz wheel. Make sure you get all the the slag off of the back, because it'll keep you from putting this in straight. It'll want to kick it on an angle because the metal's hanging it out. So it actually looks like I'm still kind of hanging up on this corner back here, but there's nothing on the back side. I actually went and I got my little hook tool and I ran it up and down in here to get everything out of there. So just to make sure that there was nothing that would be holding this metal up. So I think that we are, I think we're ready to weld this in. Okay, so I'm gonna weld this in hot. I'm gonna burn this in because I want it to be strong. I don't want it to ever crack or break out, when the door opens. So I am going to try and burn this in as hot as we can, without burning holes in anything, of course, but I want to get good penetration. So that's what she said. All right. I'll tell you right now, this one welded in way better than that side. I was not able to get that side as hot as I did this side. That other side, for some odd reason, I don't know if it was just my welder wasn't working right that day, or if for some reason the metal had just been, you know, this truck's had a lot of work done to it over the years. That area may have, you know, been hammered and dollied and grinded and whatnot before, and the metal was thinner. But yeah, I was just wanting to blow holes on that side. So this side we did not have that issue. I was able to weld that baby in. So ta-da! Now you know, we just gotta grind it down and clean it up. But that's it. That's how you put those things in. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video, and I'm glad that I was able to get more up close and personal this time than we were on the other side. The other side, you know, I didn't have the camera set up that I did now, and you guys were just sitting across the room. So because I had this huge tripod that I couldn't bring in any closer. So but all right, that's it. I'll see you guys back here in a little while to grind this up. I'm gonna let it cool off. We just got that hot, so I'll see you guys back here in a bit. I kind of marked out a piece of metal here. We need to build or make. We need to make the rear cab corner like rocker extension. This piece here. So I made that one for this side. Now we're making one for the driver or passenger side. So I took a couple measurements. Hopefully I'm close with these. Anywhere close, right? We just kind of need this to match. I need this to match the rocker here. I think we're good. So my measurements I took were correct. Now this is longer than it needs to be. And if you watch the other video, we made a little template to fit in here. Now we'll make the little template to fit in there. I'll take some measurements of the other side, get our length right, and then we'll start trimming and cutting it down. We're back out here. This is the length that we're going to be doing. So I know that we need to trim this out there. Something like so. Does need to be curved. So, and we do need to leave, there needs to be a little gap in there. I didn't even think about that, but think we're pretty close there. So we need to transfer this over to that, but before we can transfer this over, we need to round off these edges. So I guess we'll start with, we'll round over the one edge first, and then we'll mark it and cut it, and then we'll round over the next edge, and then we can trace this onto here, and we can cut this out so that this fits in there. The bottom, we don't have a whole lot to trim off the bottom because it overlaps onto the bottom and gets welded on the bottom. So it will get trimmed back some, but not really worried about the bottom yet until we have it fitting. So okay, so that's the one side. Now we do have to do, so that'll be the side that ends. Now I do need to leave some overhang so that we can fold the other end over. So I'm gonna say only about right there. So I think we can cut that off. I hope. Alright, now let's see if we can bend this other edge over. It's a little harder because you can't slip this over it now. Just trying to straighten out this line a little bit. It seemed a little off. So we know this guy fits the cab corner. He's gonna be going in like so. I want like an 1/8 inch gap. That's what we've been keeping everything else at. Let's see, we can. Right in there is where the front of the rocker lays. So about like so is what we need to cut out of there. I gotta mark the bottom and see where we need to trim the bottom. Let me grab my mat to lay on. Okay, so I marked where it sits on the cab corner. We'll just cut that off. Okay. Pop a couple spot welds in on the bottom as well. I think they're pretty good. Let me just go check the other side and make sure. Yeah, it looks like we're pretty good. Looks like the gap might be a little smaller than 1/8 of an inch. Maybe about like so. And I think we'll be okay. You know, we can move this any way we want. I think I'm gonna hammer this edge a little bit more and clean it up. And I think we'll be good. Alright. Straighten them up a little bit. I think we can weld this bad boy on. Let's get the welder over here. All right. I think we're looking pretty good. Alright, so you guys died in there somewhere, but I finished grinding that up. We got to finish off in some 60 grit, so later on when we do the door jambs, we'll D8 down to some 80 grit and it'll be ready for some primer. So on to the next thing. We're back out here on the Jeep today and we're going to get some welding done. So we got this back corner piece that we made the other day, so we're going to get him welded on. Off camera I got like this back, it's kind of like a rocker to body brace. I did it on the other side. We replicated it, did it on this side. I believe I did that off camera though. I don't think I recorded it. I just have it tacked in at the moment. We gotta cut the tack. We gotta weld the back side of the rocker. Then we can put that in and we can get that welded up solid. I did remake the front, or I made the front like floor frame structure. It needed to be extended out to meet up with the new cab corner. We did it on the other side, I did it on this side, but I screwed it up. We got to remake it. I'll show you that when we get to it. But let's get some welding done. Alright. The only thing I want to do left to that, this corner's a little peaky. It's fine. Round that up. So now we got this thing, which I told you that I started the other day off camera. This all gets welded in solid, but I gotta weld this backside in solid. So we're gonna cut this piece out real quick. It's just held in with the tack. The other day when I was working on this, I had Colleen out here. She was working on some pinstriping stuff. I didn't want to weld with her in the shop, so she even gets anywhere near that stuff without a mask on, without a welding mask, she gets flash burn. So I'm gonna set you guys in here. Maybe you guys will be able to see what I'm doing. So we're gonna weld this in back here. I may get my head right in the way of you guys, but okay. Probably could have turned the welding wire up just a hair, but I think it's fine. Alright, that looks good. You know, little grinding here and a little grinding here, just so that when we put our floor in, it sits in there flush. Gotta go underneath, and we gotta weld the back side now, which is always fun. I love welding upside down. Alright, so got those two things welded up now. Like I said, we'll grind this one piece up real quick here, just so that the metal will lay flat, and then we'll move on to the front. Like I said, I got to remake that front piece. And then once we make that front piece and we get that welded, look up here, I'm here. Once we get this front piece remade and we get that guy welded in, I think it's, well, we got to weld up the front of the rocker as well. We may have a little bit of welding up in this inside corner when we're doing this floor structure extension. That I think we're gonna put the door on, and we need to cut the insides by where the window is, so we can lay the top of the door in just like 1/8 of an inch. The driver's side was bad, like you could stick your finger in on the top of the door on that side. This side's just off a little bit, so we're just gonna cut it, lay it in. I'll weld that back up and get that ground down, and then I think it's time to start doing the floor. We're gonna start cutting this whole floor out, and yeah, that'll be fun. So I think we're gonna do something cool. So this was the cover that I made yesterday off camera for the front floor brace that's supposed to connect to the inner cab corner up in the front here. And it fit good, and I was happy with the way that it fit, and I tacked it in, and I was ready to weld it. And I was sitting here and I was looking at the other side, and I was like, crap, I forgot to add the little 1/2-inch flanges that the new floor is going to sit on when we do our new floor. So I ended up, I just made this, I'd say real quick, off camera, but I actually ended up having to make this twice because, no, 3 times. I made it 3 times. Because the first time that I remade it, I did it again, just like this. I made it just like this. I didn't put the ears on it. I don't know what I was thinking. So, then the second time that I made it, I mismeasured, and when I put the ears on it, or these little flanges on here, it was basically as if I took this piece and I put the 1/2-inch bends on there. It was like a 1/2 inch too short from going all the way up where it needed to go. So I ended up having to remake it again, where I made these sides like a 1/2 inch taller. So now this sits up flat where it meets up with the original floor brace. And I checked it with the other side, and it looks like we're the same as far as that goes. So once we get it in, there is a little, I'm gonna have to put a little slice at each corner, and we're gonna have to round everything up because I brought this to the end of where it curves up. So we'll have to curve this up a little. I'm sure I could trim it back and not be on that. But there's this giant hole that is here. If you look, so there's this giant hole here, and if I go any shorter with this, then we won't be covering that hole. So that's the reason that I made the length. And you can see we're sticking out down here. So I make a little pie cut, we hammer everything in and fold it over and weld it up. That's how I did the other side. And it looks great. So that's basically what we're gonna do. For one, I want it to match the other side. So I forgot what the other point of what I was saying was going to be, but anyways, let's get this guy clamped in place. Okay, so we got weld the inside of the rocker here, and we got weld the inside of this. We got welded along the bottom. I'm gonna have to go underneath. We're gonna have to weld the inside over there. We got weld this up here. I gotta go on the underside and weld it up on the other side. And then, like I said, we'll cut it back a little bit, and we'll fold it over, and then we'll weld along the bottom as well. So yeah, I think I guess let's get set up for welding, and we'll just get this welded up. Hopefully I won't be in your way. I'm gonna put my sweatshirt back on so I'm not getting burned everywhere. Alright, I think I'm gonna start with the rocker. Beautiful weld. Alright, looks good. I'm gonna let the welder cool off for a minute. Like, my hand is hot through my glove from holding that welder. So that welder tip is hot. And that the gun's made out of plastic, so I don't want to melt anything. So, I mean, I know like welders are designed to just weld and keep going, but I don't like when it gets that hot. So, we will, we'll be back when that cools off. And like I said, now we gotta crawl underneath and get her all done underneath there. So, but I think that this looks pretty good. I gotta hit this little corner right here. I see I missed. We could probably hit that little corner back there from up here. So I'll probably I'll hit a little bit of that with the grinder, this weld here, but the floor comes up just below it, and we're gonna end up seam sealing all this. And I could probably get away with, getting the seam sealer up over that weld. You know, we're gonna do a nice floor, and it's gonna get seam sealed around everything. And then I have black bed coating that sprays out of like a hopper gun. And we're gonna do everything in that. So I don't think that you'll notice that big weld. You can see over that side, you know, we got welds going on over there, and that weld's up high, too high to where, you know, we're not gonna be able to hide that one with seam sealer. But this one's close. We may be able to, or who knows, after I grind it up, it may look, you know, it may look fine. So, but we'll see. And plus with, you know, with the bed liner in there and whatever, I can hammer a couple extra coats right there, booger it in, it'll look beautiful. So, anyways, I'll be back in a few minutes. Change out your battery. I think I gotta change out your memory card too, because there's not much left of that. By the time I do that and I come back, hopefully we'll be cooled off a little bit to continue welding. So, alright, so off camera I came in and I welded up the last little bit of the underneath stuff. Wasn't really much that I could video because it was on the front side. So I just got underneath here and I got it done. So you can kind of see a little, you know, a little bit of it here. You know, like I said, we would do a little pie cut and roll all that under and get that all welded up. So I got these couple of inside pieces right in the corner there that we didn't weld up. And then of course, I welded down the front side, of course. On the other side of this gap hole is all welded up all the way down. So I also welded up the bottom, where that met the bottom, that got all welded up. The bottom going this way up against the inside of the cab corner, that got welded up. So there's 2 more things that I want to do tomorrow. Between the front cab corner that we installed and the rocker that we installed, there's a strip about this big between the two, so I'm gonna cut a piece to go in between there, and we're gonna weld that in. And same thing on the back side. There's a strip. Maybe there's not a strip, but there's that black box that we built in the rear of the cab corner. We got to connect from that black box to the bottom of the rocker. I got to do that side too, the driver's side. I got to get underneath there and look, because I don't think I did anything with that. I think I was just going to seam seal that side. Which I think was perfectly fine. If I remember, when I was underneath there, we were gonna seam seal it. But for some odd reason, this passenger side, now I didn't do anything different than what I did on the other side. I have measured that side compared to this side. Everything is the same, but the gaps that I'm gonna fill on this side weren't quite as big as they were on that side. So, and it's, you know, it's a rocker that was made to fit the door from a company. We ordered it, connecting to a cab corner that came from the same company that fit the corner. You know, and it's different from side to side. I don't know why. You know, well, it's probably because it was just made in 1949 and it was made by hand. You know, and one person may have made one side compared to the other. I don't know. I find it weird, but everything that I've measured matches. Why there's a bigger gap on the passenger side than there is on the driver's side, I have no idea. But it's there. We're gonna weld it up, take care of it. So, but that's the last thing that I want to do on this side. Before we put the door on. We'll get the door put on tomorrow. Like I said, I need to cut it and lay it in a little bit so that the gap matches from one side to the other, and then we're gonna start on the floor. So hopefully tomorrow's Wednesday, hopefully tomorrow, if not tomorrow, definitely on Thursday, we are gonna be starting on the floor. We're gonna be removing all the stuff that somebody has added over the years that has been riveted in, and we're going to be removing the original stuff that is all rotted out underneath it. So you know, we have like this panel here was, so like I was saying, this whole panel was added by somebody. It's riveted all the way around. So we'll be removing that, and then underneath it, if you look underneath the truck, you can see that it's all rotted out underneath. So we'll be cutting all that out, and then there's there's an aluminum panel that half the truck was made out of when it got here. We'll be removing that and seeing what's going on underneath there. There's some kind of weird patch that's bolted down with 1/2-inch bolts underneath this shifter boot. So we'll be addressing that. We may be remaking a whole new transmission tunnel here. I'm expecting that. There's some kind of thing going on up there that's on the firewall. Like I said, we're going to be shaving this firewall. We got to weld up all the holes and everything that's on there, and cracks and crevices and everything like that. You know, you can see there's some weird patch stuff going on here. I don't know if that's like factory for the steering column to go over there, if this was in a different country. If I had to guess, that's what that is. But we're going to be addressing all that, and we're going to be addressing the shifter. We're probably going to end up making a new shifter. We'll use the base of it, but as far as this big steel plate that's welded to a rod and whatnot, we're going to be getting rid of all that, and we will be putting a new rod that probably is a little nicer and a little better looking. We're going to be addressing that brake pedal. You can see that somebody has cut and extended that brake pedal to go like around the steering column for whatever reason. There's an emergency brake handle thing over there, which is no longer connected to anything, so we're going to be removing that and welding up the hole on the floor. My buddy said that he's not hooking that back up. So we may end up, that actually has a really cool handle. We may end up using the top of that brake thing for the new gear shifter. At least that's my idea, but we'll see. But I did, the last time I was down in Chicago, I picked up, so this is a clutch and brake setup out of a 49 Ford car. So I picked that up so that we can, maybe, I'm hoping that we can unbolt this one and just bolt the other one back in. I highly doubt that it's going to be that easy, but we will see. Worst case scenario, we cut that out, what they have going on, because that is horrible. We cut that out, and we, you know, cut halfway through, up and over, and we do the same thing on the bottom side, opposite of course, so that they fit together, and then we weld it all the way around, and we should be good to go then. So, and if you know, maybe we'll fish plate the sides and do it a little bit nicer than what they did, just a little. I don't want to one up the guy who built that, but we're going to do something with that. So, and we're going to address all that stuff while I'm in here on the floor. So, shifter, brake, lever, emergency brake, floor, firewall. So, we'll be pulling this motor back out. It's got to go to the tune shop, so I'll probably be pulling in the next week or two. We'll be pulling that motor out so that I can shave and smooth the firewall. So, but yeah, anyways, that's where we're headed with this guy. I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good evening. Remember, like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. I'm out.